Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at a story that, well, it's really captured global headlines, hasn't it? Kate Middleton's health journey.
It really has.
It's been reported everywhere, of course,
Yeah.
but we think it warrants, a much deeper examination than just the surface news.
Definitely.
So, for those of you following along, our mission today, really, is to get past the sort of daily updates and the speculation.
Hmm.
We want to explore what her experience actually tells us about public health, about personal recovery, which is so complex, and the medical realities of facing something like cancer.
Yeah.
We've gathered insights from trusted sources, official statements, medical explanations, the whole range, to try and give you a really informed view.
And it's important to remember this isn't just about a public figure. It's a journey that's, frankly, much more complex than many people might realize.
That's true.
You hear terms like remission, and they often get, well, oversimplified. So in this deep dive, we'll break down the timeline, look at the personal challenges involved, and the wider impact of her advocacy. You might find some surprising insights.
Exactly. So if you're keen to connect the dots, to really grasp the full picture behind those headlines, this deep dive is for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're aiming to share those maybe unexpected details and help you see the bigger context, all respectfully of your time. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's unpack this timeline first because it really does set the scene. Her health journey became very public after that abdominal surgery back in early January 2024.
Right. That was the first we heard.
Then the really tough news, the cancer diagnosis, wasn't actually confirmed by Kensington Palace until March. And it turned out she'd already started chemotherapy back in late February. Crucially, though, that initial phase was kept private.
Yeah, understandably, to protect her young family.
Exactly.
And a key thing here is how deliberately the information was released, the pacing. By September 2024, she'd completed the chemotherapy course. And her stated focus then, I think she said something like, doing what I can to stay cancer-free.
Right, which really highlights that ongoing effort, even after treatment.
Precisely. It's an active commitment. Then, a really significant moment, January 14th, 2025, she announced on X, formerly Twitter, that her cancer was in remission.
A huge moment.
Huge. And she expressed deep gratitude for her care team, for her supporters.
So that brings us to this phase, life in remission. And this part, I think, offers some really crucial insights.
Absolutely.
Just this past July, remember, during that visit to a cancer well-being center at Colchester Hospital, she really opened up.
Yes, I remember seeing reports about that.
She admitted recovery is really difficult. She called it a roller coaster, unexpected emotional, physical challenges. We hear that analogy a lot, but what do you think it really means in her specific context?
Well, it's powerful because it pushes back against that common, maybe overly simple idea of recovery being just a straight line upwards. Her honesty really highlights that, just because you're not under active medical treatment anymore, the journey isn't suddenly over.
Not at all.
She talked about how getting back to normal routines is tough, how it needs ongoing support and guidance. And that raises a big question for anyone going through serious illness, doesn't it? What is normal after something like that?
That's a deep question.
And she was candid about long-term side effects, too. Things like speech issues, brain fog, that emotional fatigue. She even mentioned words disappearing, needing more concentration.
Wow.
So this isn't just about being physically tired. It points to that profound, often invisible cognitive impact of cancer and its treatments.
So it's really hitting on multiple levels, physical, cognitive, emotional, a demanding recovery.
Definitely.
And yet, despite all these challenges, we have seen her gradually start resuming some light royal duties, carefully managed. She's appeared at events, Remembrance Sunday, the Christmas Carol service, Trooping the Color. But she's also shown, I think, remarkable self-awareness. Like deciding to skip Royal Ascot when she felt she needed to. That sends a powerful message, doesn't it? That she's actually listening to her body.
Absolutely. And that return to public life, it's clearly been meticulously managed, but also highly symbolic.
How so?
Well, think about it. In January 2025, right when the remission was announced, she made that significant reappearance at the Royal Marsden Hospital.
Ah, yes, thanking the staff.
Exactly. Thanking staff, interacting with patients. And significantly, she also became joint royal patron of the hospital alongside Prince William. That signals a real long-term commitment to advocacy.
That's a strong statement.
It is. And then in July 2025, during that Colchester visit you mentioned, to the well-being garden, she wore a blazer she'd apparently worn during her treatment.
Oh, I didn't realize that detail.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's a powerful visual cue, isn't it? Reinforcing that emotional, meaningful return to this new chapter.
That blazer detail.
Mhm.
Wow, that's incredibly powerful. A quiet nod to the whole journey.
Right.
And this symbolic return, it really highlights that critical medical term, remission. But what does that actually mean, beyond the headlines? Because for a lot of people, I think it's easily misunderstood.
You're absolutely right. It is often misunderstood. So, according to oncologists, the cancer specialists, remission essentially means that based on the current tests available, there's no detectable cancer in the body.
Detectable being the key word.
Exactly. This is usually checked using scans like PET or CT scans and blood tests looking for specific tumor markers.
Okay.
However, and this is really, really critical, remission doesn't guarantee a cure.
Right. That's the crucial distinction.
Yes. Microscopic cancer cells can sometimes linger, which means recurrence, unfortunately, remains a possibility. Now, complete remission, where there are zero signs of cancer, can certainly be long-lasting. Many people achieve that.
That's the hope, of course.
Absolutely. But it means continued medical monitoring is essential. Regular follow-ups, ongoing blood work, maybe periodic scans, just to watch for any changes. It's a huge milestone, yes, a moment of incredible relief, but it's not the end of vigilance.
So it really is a journey into what people often call a new normal.
Precisely.
How does that idea, the new normal, sort of play out in the recovery journey?
Yeah.
Especially thinking about her public statements and actions. She seems to really emphasize patience, holistic recovery.
She really does. Her statements make it clear that people need time, they need emotional support, and they need resources that go way beyond just the medical treatment itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the bigger picture, her and William taking on that patronage of Royal Marsden, combined with their public comments, it paints a pretty clear picture. They want to support not just research, but also patient well-being, family-centered care.
That holistic approach again.
Exactly. And what's been really impactful, I think, is the praise she's received from various cancer charities for her candor, her openness.
Oh, interesting. What have they said?
They've noted that her choice to just use the word remission without publicizing lots of very specific medical details actually shows remarkable strength and empathy.
How so?
Empathy. Because it allows countless other people going through similar experiences to relate to her journey without feeling perhaps overwhelmed or compared by very specific medical jargon or prognosis. It keeps it human.
That makes a lot of sense. What a profound journey, really, when you break it down like this.
It truly is.
So, just to maybe recap the main takeaways from this deep dive, we've definitely seen the complex, that roller coaster reality of recovery after treatment ends, especially those unseen cognitive and emotional tolls.
Yeah, far from a straight line.
Absolutely. We've also hopefully gained a more nuanced understanding of remission. It's not just a simple cure, is it? It's a state that requires ongoing awareness, vigilance.
Rest and awareness, yeah.
And finally, her story, I think, powerfully illustrates the role public figures can play in advocacy, shining a much-needed light on what so many others experience, often privately. Understanding this journey, it really does give you deeper perspective on resilience, on healing.
It absolutely does. And just to reinforce that point, recovery really is a marathon, not a sprint.
Well said.
It involves so much more than the medical side. It's profound mental, emotional, physical adjustments that continue long, long after active treatment finishes.
Yeah.
Which just underscores how critical patience is, how vital unwavering emotional support is, and the ongoing need for comprehensive resources. These are the very themes Kate Middleton herself has so bravely brought to light through her own experience.
Right. So here's a final thought, maybe something provocative for you, the listener, to consider. Given how much of her very personal journey has played out so publicly, what does this deep dive reveal about that really delicate balance? The balance between personal privacy and powerful advocacy when facing a major health challenge.
That's a tough balance.
It is. And maybe more broadly, what does it tell us about the support structures we need, both as individuals and, as a society? How do we better navigate that long road of recovery that extends far beyond the initial treatment phase? Something we encourage you to think about the wider implications for anyone navigating a serious illness.